Hello, I'm Keith Alexander, Professor of Mechanical Engineering at University of Canterbury. A number of years ago, the Chief Surgeon at Burwood Hospital challenged us engineers to come up with a way of reducing the injuries to carers that were caused by shifting people about. With the help of students, I came up with a new class of transfer aid that tilts people forward from one seated position, transfers them and tilts them back to another. All this without loads on the carer. At HTSystems, our small team has improved upon this original concept through many customer trials into a marketable medical device that's both helping caregivers and transforming the lives of patients who have no other option for being moved about. In New Zealand, there are over 100,000 people who can't get up and move about for themselves, and this number is growing. This means that over 100,000 people need help from others so that they can just continue with their daily lives. We've all seen or experienced how difficult it is to move someone who can't stand. Manually lifting a patient is now recognised as a serious occupational hazard for carer staff. But manual lifting still happens somewhere every day. A major part of this problem is that the alternatives are slow and cumbersome. The consequence is that there are 4 significant carer injuries per day in New Zealand, leading to time off work and loss of employment.
Hi, I'm Alex, the CTO of HTSystems. For many of the 100,000 people, the recommended option to move them is to use a piece of equipment called a hoist. This process requires 2 caregivers, one to operate the device and one to steady and comfort the patient, and can take up to 15 minutes or more. You can see the green sling, which must be fitted by lifting the patient to get it under their body. This is where injuries can occur to the caregivers. Patients often hate the experience of being in the sling, and this is reflected for the caregivers. In a home environment where a family member is looking after a loved one, there often isn't a second caregiver available, resulting in risky transfers or not doing them at all. The carer transfer aid is a completely new approach to transferring a person who can't move for themselves. The patient is safely and securely lifted using our unique combination of a chest pad with a back strap. Using the carer's patented mechanism, a single carer can easily roll the patient forward into the transfer position and complete a transfer in under 2 minutes. People who can't move for themselves are cared for in 3 locations: in the home, in rest homes, and in hospitals. We have had early success with patients in the home, where the carer lifter is directly transforming their lives, mainly because it only requires a single caregiver. For example, Jean, who has MS, is cared for her husband Eric in their home. Eric was risking his back every time he physically picked up Jean from the bed to put her on the wheelchair to get to the bathroom. It was only once a day when a caregiver would visit that he could safely move Jean. Now that Jean has the carer and one person can safely transfer her, Eric gets to go out on a bike ride for half an hour a day while the caregiver visits. We ran a 3-month trial with Oceania Healthcare, one of the big 4 rest home operators in New Zealand. The care staff loved having an alternative to the hoists, and management see the carer as a way to reduce their caregiver injuries across the group. The same success is mirrored with Somerset, who have 28 facilities in New Zealand. After a successful trial in 2 of their facilities, they are purchasing units for existing facilities and will make the carer standard in all new builds. In addition to the health and safety benefits, these facilities are excited about productivity savings. A typical care centre might have 10 people who need to use the sling hoist up to 6 times a day each. At 15 minutes per transfer, that's 30 staff hours a day in transfers alone. Using the carer presents significant productivity savings to these organisations. The third market is hospitals, where quick transfers are essential. Anne McMahon of Waitemata DHB is the go-to person in New Zealand for patient handling. She is the chair of the Manual Handling Association and authored the ACC guidelines. She believes the carer is a great alternative to traditional transfer equipment and has a definite place in the market.
Hi, I'm Richard Shepherd. I'm the CEO of HTSystems. We're currently focusing on sales in New Zealand, where we have low regulatory requirements and our customers are close. However, globally the patient handling market is large and growing quickly. The good news is that our carer lifter is classed as a low-risk medical device, and regulation in the major markets is a relatively simple process. Global expansion to larger markets will drive revenues and lower costs of production. Break-even will be achieved in 2022. After establishing sales in our home market, we plan to quickly grow by moving to larger global markets. This growth may seem optimistic, but let me show you how we plan to do it. Firstly, we plan to grow globally through a network of distributors. We have just launched with a key New Zealand distributor who has committed to sales of 100 units in 2020. We are already in discussions with a master distributor for Australia and have had approaches from distributors in Europe. Secondly, we plan to roll out globally, starting with a launch in Australia, which is 7 times larger than New Zealand, in July. We have already trialled a unit in a care facility in Melbourne and plan to sell 50 units in Australia this year. You have met the team today, myself, Alex, our CTO, and Keith, our founder and director. Over the past 2 years, we have been supported by students and consultants. However, the next phase of growth will require new resources to drive sales and marketing and operations. We're asking for $500,000 to support the next phase of market growth in New Zealand and to launch in Australia.
I would have to say I'm proud of how far this small business has come in 2 years, and I'm excited by the next phase of growth with a distributor on board. But what I'm most touched by is hearing about the cases where the carer is literally transforming people's lives. We're keen to have investors on board to support us in achieving our growth goals so we can deliver this aid to the people who need it most. Please go to our website or email us for more information.